On June 2004, the Confederation House in Jerusalem, a joint venture of the World Confederation of United Zionists and Hadassah, was renamed the Kalman Sultanik Confederation House in honor of the Zionist leader. At the dedication ceremony, Sultanik, a Holocaust survivor and the longest-serving member of the Jewish Agency Executive, recalled his participation at the 1946 Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland.
I was elected one of the 12 delegates from the survivors Shevet Peita on the refugee camps in Germany to the historical 22nd Zionist Congress in Basel, held in December 1946. It was the first Zionist Congress that convened after the Holocaust. Even though our 12-people delegation from all the DP camps was small in comparison to the other 400 delegates from all over the world, we played a prominent role in the historical Congress. We issued the following statement. Quote, to proclaim loudly and with pride the creation of a Jewish state is one task for the Congress. The second should be to put this proclamation into operation. For us, the remnants of the Jews in Europe, this convocation is a Congress of destiny.
The historic Zionist Congress in Basel was the first to follow the Shoah and the end of the Second World War.
Of the over almost 400 delegates, 12 were chosen in elections in the so-called displaced persons, DP camps, in the areas I mentioned. Of the 12 delegates, one, and we'll speak about him later, was a 29-year-old by the name of Kalman Sultanik. He was the only general Zionist elected for Germany. The delegates appreciated the fact that these survivors were firmly committed to a Jewish state in Palestine. The delegates firmly appreciated, as I said, the fact that they were united, at least in this concept, and of course those from the DP camp, so-called, strongly supported a Jewish state. In fact, they had done so as early as their first conference in Germany in July 1945 under their name Shevet HaPleita, the remnant of Israel.
Sultanik recounted a meeting that he and 3 other delegates, representing the displaced persons camps, shared in Zurich with David Ben-Gurion, the future Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
In 1946, I had the privilege to be one of 4 leaders of survivors in the DP camp to be invited by David Ben-Gurion to a meeting in Zurich, Switzerland. At this meeting, Ben-Gurion advised us of the purpose of that meeting. He impressed upon us the urgency of mobilizing immediately thousands of survivors Shevet HaPleita to form an armada of boats on the seas with Palestine as their destination. The plan was that this demonstration of an armada of survivors would coincide with a date scheduled for debate at the United Nations regarding the partition of what was then Palestine. We returned to the DP camps full of excitement and inspired by the mission given us by Ben-Gurion. We immediately began organizing the exodus of the survivors for this historic episode.
Sultanik had risen to prominence as a leader of Hanuar Hatzioni in Poland, inspired by Theodor Herzl's advocacy of a Jewish homeland. In 1942, Sultanik, his parents, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers would suffer the fate of what Holocaust historian Raoul Hilberg characterized as the worst year in the history of the Jewish people. The Nazis had overrun Poland in 1939, and within a week came to occupy Sultanik's hometown of Miechów. Sultanik recalled the tragic fate that awaited his 2 sisters Sarah and Ruja, who along with his mother Gittel were selected for transport to Belzec concentration camp. In his interview with the Shoah Museum in Israel, he remembers his father Samuel, who was to have been separated from his wife and sent with his 3 sons to Pleshov, explaining to his eldest, Kalman, that he and his 2 younger brothers, Shlomek and Yaakov, would have to help one another to survive. Their father, however, would not be separated from his wife.
את האמא ושתי אחיות לקחו לצד שני, ואותי לצד שני לעבודה. לאבא היה בן 50 וכמה, אמרו לו שיראה את הידיים, הוא עוד יכול לעשות איזו עבודת פרח. אז הוא אמר, עד כן, אתה יכול ללכת. אז האבא התייעץ איתי, אומר, תראה, אני לא יכול להיפרד מהאמא ומהחיות. אתה היותר מבוגר, 2 האחים שלך נמצאים כבר בפלשוף, אתה תהיה ביחד איתם, אולי ביחד תוכלו לעבור את הזה. אמרתי לאבא שגם אני לא יכול ככה להיפרד. אז פשוט הוא באופן פיזי דחף אותי לצד השני ואמר, ככה אני רוצה. ואתם יודעים שזה היה, אבא היה ראש המשפחה.
Following his escape during the death march of Holocaust survivors, Sultanik resumed his work with Irshuv and the anti-Nazi underground, assisting in the resettlement of survivors and rallying support for a future secure Jewish homeland. Former Chief Justice of the Israel Supreme Court, Moshe Beisky, described inquiring about the fate of Jewish leaders during the first days of freedom, following the end of World War II, and learning of Kalman Sultanik's survival.
נגמרה המלחמה ואיכשהו נותרנו שנינו בחיים. הוא בטרזישר, אני איפשהו בקוסרוזן, ואצל שינדלר. ובסופו של דבר לא ידעתי מה עלה בגורלו, כפי שלא ידעתי מה עלה בגורל כל חבריי. מכיתת בית הספר שלי, לאחר המלחמה 50 ילדים, נותרנו 4. 2 מאלה גם הם נסתלקו. על קלמן לא שמעתי. עד שמשה אז עוד קולודני, נסע לפולין ב-1946, והנה הוא חוזר ומספר סיפור. ואתם יודעים, נותרו שם 3-4 מנהיגים שאוספים את כל אנשי הנוער הציוני. ומי הם 4? הראשון זה קלמן סולטניק.
It was in clandestine Jewish collectives that Sultanik met his future wife, Bronia Burgansky, a survivor of the Stutthof concentration camp, whose family had perished during the war. Having reunited with his 2 brothers, Shlomek and Yaakov, this family of 4 would settle in Munich, where Sultanik encountered 2 leaders of the American Zionist movement, Rabbi Israel Goldstein, the founder and president of the World Confederation of General Zionists, and Rose Halpern, the president of Hadassah.
כשנגיע לעשייה, ליום-יום, הנושא הציוני האמיתי, זה מה שהיה אכפת. וזה דבר שהוא מאוד מאוד אפיין אותו, הוא יותר מכל מישהו אחר שחי בישראל. לכאורה, כל המנהיגות האחרת הייתה בישראל, הוא היחיד שהגיע מאמריקה. אבל היה לו מעמד פה יותר חזק מכל הישראלים שישבו פה, בגלל הדבר הזה. שידעו שקלמן נכנס ופועל את הפעולה, כפי מתוך אכפתיות למה שקורה. אחרי כמעט 40 שנות קלמן. זאת אומרת שאני הייתי אז בחור מאוד מאוד צעיר, כשנכנסתי לפעילות, והוא כבר היה ותיק קונגרסים עוד מלפני מלחמת העולם, ובשנות ה-30 הוא כבר היה בקונגרסים ציוניים. לכאורה מרחק דורות אדיר. והוא יצר את הקשר איתנו, קירב אותנו, את הצעירים שלנו, והסתכלנו עליו בגובה העיניים. הוא ניהל איתך דיבור לא ממרום גילו ולא ממרום מעמדו, אלא כשווה אל שווה, וזה הצליח מאוד, ונשארנו פה. הפך להיות, בהתחלה הייתי בחוץ, הוא היה יכול להיות יותר מבוגר מאבא שלי.
Sultanik was first appointed to Confederation offices in Israel and was then brought to New York in 1952, working closely with Dr. Goldstein, Rose Halpern, and other Zionist luminaries like Nahum Goldman, Lord Janner, and Charlotte Jacobson. Sultanik would play an integral role in building a worldwide network of Confederation partners to support the State of Israel and consolidate a post-war diaspora constituency to combat the perennial forces of anti-Semitism.
He, through personal diplomacy and the respect that he earned from men and women of different ideological views, he was able to bring them together. And I would say he was really the pillar and the heartbeat of the Confederation. I miss him sorely. Great legacy. As a Holocaust survivor who rehabilitated himself, built a family, and saw the rehabilitation of the Jewish people. This advice was sought by Nahum Goldman, Bill Klutznick at the time when he was president, and Edgar Bronfman, and then the Lauder Foundation. My friend Ronald Lord's entry into Poland, I would say, was really inspired and motivated, by Kalman Sultanik.
Sultanik's travels on behalf of Confederation Hadassah and the State of Israel led to worldwide tours and frequent visits to South America, developing close personal and professional relationships.
My first memories, I heard of Kalman before I met him, and I was probably like 8, 9 years old, and then I met him, and Kalman was this man who came from New York, who discussed Jewish issues with my father and played tennis with my mom. I remember when you mentioned Sultanik, because for them he was Sultanik, and it was no matter how different they might thought, no matter they might have different agendas, they would always have this very, very present respect towards his figure and himself, and that's why, for me it was Kalman and Sultanik.
Sultanik's unwavering commitment to strengthening Confederation Hadassah as the major force in diaspora Jewry gained a new focus with his dream of establishing a Confederation House Cultural Center in Jerusalem to celebrate the Zionist ideals of cultural pluralism and the love of the language, the theater, and the music of the Jewish people that had nourished Herzl's nationalist fervor.
Kalman had a very long-range vision. He saw the involvement of the Confederation in cultural activities as an added vision, as an added value to the Confederation, and that was the reason why he supported the idea of a political faction dealing also with cultural activities, and this was his vision, and this is Kalman.
בית הקונפדרציה בתרבות הישראלית הוא, אני חושב, דוגמה ומופת למוסד תרבות שבעיקר בעיקר עוסק בקליטת עלייה תרבותית של עולים מברית המועצות לשעבר, בעלייה האתיופית. זה מוסד שנתן במה למוזיקאים עולים מצטיינים מארצות חבר העמים, מאתיופיה, לאומנים יהודים יוצאי ארצות האסלאם, דרך פסטיבל העוד הבינלאומי שאנחנו עושים. אני חושב שהדבר החשוב הנוסף שהבית הוא גשר בין תרבותי, גשר בין המזרח למערב, בפעילות, בתכנים שלו הוא גשר בין יהודים דתיים לחילוניים, בין יהודים לערבים. למעשה כל פרויקט או כל תחום מרכזי שהבית עוסק בו הוא חלק מהגשר הבין תרבותי, שיש בו סובלנות כלפי האחר, כלפי השכנים שלנו. זה תמצית בית הקונפדרציה.
Supported by Confederation and Hadassah leaders and member organizations around the world, Sultanik's dream was realized with the assistance of Jerusalem Mayor Teddy Kollek. On June 1984, Chaim Herzog, President of the State of Israel, officially dedicated the Confederation House, and Rabbi Israel Goldstein blessed the mezuzah. At the invitation of President Ronald Reagan in the spring of 1982, Sultanik was invited to light the candles at one of the first White House ceremonies commemorating the Holocaust. It was during this period of reappraisal of the Holocaust that resulted in one of the most divisive encounters between an American president and Jewish leaders in what became known as the Bitburg Affair. President Reagan, who had been planning to attend the 40th anniversary of the D-Day invasion in France, had decided to add a trip to Germany to strengthen his ties with German President Helmut Kohl. Seizing on his previous invitation to the White House, Sultanik had urged the president to visit a concentration camp site on his European trip. President Reagan's choice of Bitburg, a military cemetery where Waffen-SS were buried, sparked a wave of controversy, leading to demonstrations in Washington and a subsequent public embarrassment following Elie Wiesel's impassioned plea, "Mr. President, your place is with the victims." The Bitburg controversy would take yet another turn when a series of letters written during the spring and summer of 1989 between Kalman Sultanik and President Reagan were released. Sultanik wrote in the voice of a survivor who asked President Reagan to rebuff a rising neo-Nazism and acknowledge the true history of the Bitburg Cemetery. Sultanik, who had solicited the research assistance of the Shoah Museum in Israel, as well as a personal inquiry to historian Raoul Hilberg, received unequivocal confirmation that there was no support for President Reagan's claim that soldiers buried at Bitburg had aided camp inmates. Sultanik's work became increasingly directed to Poland. Sultanik's family memories shadowed his repeated trips, meeting with Polish leaders like Wojciech Jaruzelski and Władysław Bartoszewski. Working on behalf of the World Jewish Congress and the Ronald S. Lauder Foundation, Sultanik fought for the restoration of Jewish cultural institutions and was appointed to the Auschwitz Commission, where he was able to raise over $20 million from European countries to maintain and preserve the concentration camp site. It was in his capacity as a senior member of the Auschwitz Commission that Sultanik was approached by director Steven Spielberg when filming began on Schindler's List, a novelization of the real-life rescue of 1,000 Jews by Oskar Schindler.
I later became very much involved with the preservation of Auschwitz, because I believe that the survivors will live another 10 years, another 15 years, but there will be no survivors anymore. And Auschwitz doesn't represent only the 1.5 million Jews killed in the crematoriums in Auschwitz, but Auschwitz today represents the whole 6 million.
Spielberg had hoped to film on the grounds of the death camp, but attributed a profound awakening to Sultanik, who had explained to the acclaimed director that the gravesite contained the ashes and bones of Holocaust survivors. Sultanik's contributions to cemeteries and synagogues and to the preservation of concentration camp grounds led to his being awarded the Commander's Cross by President Lech Walesa and the Polish government. In his acceptance speech, Sultanik remained undaunted in exposing recent endorsements of anti-Semitism by Polish clerics.
Silence in such instances is perceived.
Beginning his 8th decade as a Zionist leader, Sultanik would encounter new evidence of anti-Semitism and would marshal his energy to authenticating the lessons of the Holocaust.
זה דבר נוסף, ועוד דבר אחד שמאוד מאוד היה חזק, שהוא הקרין אותו גם החוצה, לא רק שזה חזק אצלנו, הוא הקרין אותו החוצה, זה עניין של השואה. הנושא של השואה ליווה אותו בכל תפיסתו הציונית. ליווה אותו בכל פעולה שהוא עשה, הוא דאג להזכיר ולקשור את זה לעניין של השואה.
Sultanik would continue to serve as president of the Theodor Herzl Foundation and as chairman of Midstream, a leading Zionist publication, where he brought together the editorial wisdom of such eminences as Elie Wiesel and Professor Milton Konvitz. As long-serving president of the Federation of Polish Jews, Sultanik's work on behalf of the normalization of Polish-Jewish relations was recognized with his receiving the Star Order of Merit by the President of the Republic of Poland, Alexander Kwasniewski.
It was an honor to work with Kalman Sultanik over more than a decade when he was the moral voice and the strong leader of the effort to return Jewish properties, both communal and personal properties in Poland, and he was the conscience of our effort for all things related to restitution of Jewish property in Poland and preservation of Jewish heritage in Poland. He was a unique individual without whose strong leadership and moral conviction we would not have been able to achieve what we did and pave the way for what will still be done in the future.
Sultanik's continuing service to Confederation Hadassah was honored in 2004 with a rededication of Confederation House as the Kalman Sultanik Confederation House.
Dedication of not just a building, but dedication to Kalman Sultanik, of the building that he actually dreamed of, made happen, and created. And we call it today Confederation House. But we of the Confederation want to honor Kalman. We want him to know from the depths of our heart that we admire him, that we care about him, and we fully understand the amount of work and effort that he has put into Confederation on behalf of all of us from all over the world, and certainly Confederation House, which was his dream and his vision, to add and give a gift to Jerusalem that is very special, artistic, cultural, just like the Sultanik family.
In his tribute to Sultanik's long-serving career as freedom fighter, uncensored spokesperson against anti-Semitism, and unwavering in his promoting diaspora Jewry as Israel's greatest ally, Israel's ambassador to the United States, Salai Meridor, turned to the Zionist elder and offered a lasting affirmation of Sultanik's contributions to the Zionist world.
We are all here, somewhat the representatives of the Kalman Sultanik Admiration Society, and I'm telling you that I learned that it is not only a great privilege, but a great interest of the Zionist movement to have Kalman in many, many, many Zionist congresses to come. An advice from Kalman is invaluable, priceless. And a commitment by Kalman is just unshakable. And that we are here celebrating with you, Kalman, in a day that I hope we can celebrate the commitment of the Zionist movement to continue to fulfill Zionism generations to come. And I want you to know that we're going to continue to need you.
תראה, אנחנו נמצאים עכשיו ערב קונגרס. והקונגרס יהיה עוד חודש. אם יש משהו שאנחנו מרגישים, זה שאין לנו את קלמן.
He's an inspiration. And I hope that the current generation of younger leaders would use Kalman Sultanik as a role model of what dedication and what leadership is all about.
He taught us how to live and what was important in life. He was a mentor. He was a person I looked up to my whole life, and to see him to go up on the stage in front of all of the important dignitaries, politicians, everyone, and at his age, it was a very special moment.
What can I say? Toda Rabba. Thank you very much.